Zeke, the family's shortest, weakest, and only son without a mother, stood up to Leo, a freckled kid they say was a prodigy who once beat our boy so badly that he begged to stop hitting him as hard as he did, like a good girl. But now Zeke realizes this rival pulled strings to force a duel just to humiliate him for being from the same main family, even though they're just cousins. And while Zeke couldn't beat the family's 4 top killers in his past life, he was constantly bullied by the 12 cousins, including Freckles. So Zeke, you haven't learned a lesson. You shouldn't bring trash up here. But our boy just shrugs and says he'll fix Leo's face if anyone talks like that again. The guy gives him a head pat and tells this short trash has no chance in the family. And boom, suddenly bro gets hit by a critical strike. Freckles is writhing in agony, while the organizer yells that he never called the fight to start. Zeke just answers that no one shouts ready out on a battlefield. The guy took one because his mind was wandering. The referee shivered as Leo's hungry look for blood made the air feel icy. Then Freckles nods and says it's okay. He will prove that Zeke is nothing but worthless trash. As the fight begins, Freckles rushes forward. He takes a few hits and gets puzzled because Zeke's attacks aren't hurting him at all. Sure, he just took a hit because his guard was down, and right then he saw Zeke clench his left fist as the fight was about to show what he could really do. Since the kids had a fight with everything they had, the little menace was about to beat up Freckles while everyone just laughed at him for being a poor loser. It was so pathetic that no one could believe he was truly related to them. After Brow dropped the first body and shouted for everyone to fight, our guy crushed the last opponent, yet some stubborn idiots still hadn't learned their lesson, most notably the clown Jack and Vertug, who strutted up to challenge Zeke with total confidence. He's buzzing with arrogance and ready to show he's special, but Zeke just stands there looking bored. So our hero tells his friend, "You're going to need backup for this to even be fun." Then he calls out another student by name, Liam Stone, who is Jekkin's personal bodyguard. Zeke is basically telling you that you're so bad he needed to fight you with 2 teammates just to make it seem interesting. Jekkin's pride is broken because he can't stand the idea of needing help to beat Zeke. But Zeke keeps taunting him until Jekkin goes crazy and wants to silence him forever. And even though the instructor glares at Zeke and warns him not to move until the signal, Zeke just smirks because Jekkin actually brought his servant along to make the fight even more fun. And this reminds everyone that Liam was once a legendary hero from past life. Liam was the kind of mercenary king so tough. He started as a distant relative who begged for a spot at Academy Valhalla, but got stuck in a tiny knight order instead, only to become a legendary Red Knight and founder of the Stone Mercenaries after his home nation fell, and he led armies with just the strength to draw followers. The man once united the 3 greatest mercenary groups to become the legendary Fair and Square, led his crew into the Continental Wars where they were the northern enemy's worst nightmare. But now Zeke is determined to rewrite that story. So the moment the instructor signals, Jekkin surges forward with a massive punch so powerful it actually ripples the air. Zeke doesn't even flinch. He snatches it with one hand as if it's weightless. Jekkin yanks his hand back and tries a kick instead, but oh man, this backfires spectacularly. The moment his leg connects, pain shoots through him. He hit Zeke's reinforced barrier around his elbow and basically damaged himself. Before he can even process what just happened, Zeke's already charging in, his fist glowing with an activated skill, ready to end this man's whole career. Jekkin panics and throws his arms over his face to block. But here's the thing, Zeke was never aiming for his face. Our boy goes straight for that already injured leg and delivers a brutal blow. Before Jekkin can even shout, Zeke lands a brutal punch to his ribs that makes him cough blood, leaving the once confident fighter face-planted on the ground and screaming for his partner to end it. Now it is Liam's turn, and you can feel the air growing heavy as he radiates pure killing intent, stepping forward with a reach that seems impossible. With Zeke seizing the initiative to unleash a blur-like flurry of punches via his slash skill, he overwhelms Liam's senses and forces him into a defensive struggle before the fight can turn against him. The crowd on the sidelines is going absolutely crazy. As they watch Zeke tear through the battlefield with nothing but his fists, a wave of shock and awe washes over them, leaving them wondering how a bare-knuckle fighter can stand tall in a world ruled by swords. Zeke's moves are amazing, yet they hurt his body. But the real trouble is Liam standing tall and tough against every blow, making us wonder just how scary he must have been when he ruled as the mercenary king. Seeing his punches aren't working, Zeke goes all out with a final, powerful blow meant to smash right through Liam's guard. But right as Zeke throws it, Liam sidesteps with such ease that it looks like he's just swatting a fly, and Zeke's so angry at the sheer nerve of it that he can't even hold back. Before Liam can move, he grabs his chance, tosses him high above, and is ready to crash him down, but Zeke won't stop fighting. Thinking quickly, he lands a hard hit on Liam's head, and his trained instinct kicks in to make the most of the split second. In a split second, Zeke wraps his legs around Liam's neck to cut off his air, but Liam fights back with a fury of punches until Zeke's plan finally works and Liam collapses from lack of oxygen. The crowd is stunned by what just went down. Everyone is scared of our boy, except for this crazy guy who is suddenly super excited to fight him. So a few hours later, our boy is chilling in his room when his butler walks in already knowing all about the big match. The old man instantly switches to worried parent mode, asking if Zeke is okay, but Zeke just waves him off saying, "Bro, I'm fine." "Relax," he says, but the butler refuses to listen, ignoring Zeke entirely as he insists on checking his pulse anyway. Zeke isn't an idiot, and he knows exactly what that sneaky guy is planning. This isn't just a checkup. The servant is testing if Zeke can wake up his aura, so he channels a stream of blue energy into Zeke's hand, which makes Zeke double-take and realize this random butler might actually be a Blue Knight, since controlling that much power with such precision is next-level stuff, raising a massive question if this old man really is one. What on earth is someone with his talent doing working as a servant? Think of the knight ranks like this. White swordsmen are just kids before their blessing, yellow ones are newbies who've just awakened their power, and purple knights are the next step up who reinforce their swords with that same energy. There are blue knights who can summon real blades made of glowing energy. Before they faded away, both Liam and Zeke reached a point where they became legendary red knights, while the black knights remained true myths. There are only a few of them on the whole continent, so having a blue knight watch over you like a personal babysitter is truly wild. After finishing his little examination, the old man goes all serious and asks if Zeke is hiding something. But Zeke just flips the question right back at him before laughing it off as a joke, only for the butler to press harder by asking why Zeke has changed so much, which stops Zeke in his tracks until he snaps with a sharp retort about asking the wrong question and warns that this is just the beginning of more surprises. So the servant bows and reports that the training room is ready, while on the way there's Zeke's mind is racing to figure out who ordered his butler to spy on him. But no matter what, he'll turn this situation to his advantage by keeping the old man close, twisting his words to get the info he needs, and realizing that since the family from the mother's side would never dare, it must be one of his siblings pulling the strings. As Zeke steps into the training room, he freezes for a moment, completely shocked by how ridiculously fancy the place looks. Before he begins, he checks the system, and with a single command, a panel pops up to reveal that his slash skill is now at proficiency level. After leveling up from spamming attacks in battle, he spots the draconian skill, but finds it locked with a requirement of 10 karma points, leaving him stuck at 0. A message suddenly appeared, telling him he could earn karma points by killing monsters in the dungeons. Well, since he isn't a purple knight, he can't do that trick, so that idea is gone, and right now his biggest worry is figuring out why he's regressed and what on earth this system actually is. Without more information to overthink, he grips his sword tight and vows to use every bit of his system and Draco bloodline to get stronger, knowing that knights must refine aura in dungeons while mages build mana in circles, and once you pick a path, you lose the other forever. Unlike anyone else in his home, Zeke woke up with no special powers and was labeled a failure, tossed aside until he found a master who taught him the rare Ether Hall technique to channel nature's energy, a secret skill now shared only by the two of them. After 2 hours of non-stop training, Zeke is about to collapse when his class skills for healing and vigor recovery suddenly kick in. Now healing is almost impossible, and if anyone watched him use it, they'd instantly call him a freak. That's exactly why he held back from using it on Liam. He waited until he was safely back in his room before healing himself. Now that he's fixed himself up, he goes right back to grinding. By the time dawn breaks, the whole training hall looks like a war zone, and after a week has passed, students in the cafeteria are whispering that Zeke has turned into a completely different person. Because they think he was born a loser, they blame his misfortune on black magic or demons, all while the academy's top students quietly enjoy dinner together in a private lounge. First, we watch Raina Trown eat in silence. Next to her sits Owen Simon, looking calm and proper, while across from Jekin is still beat up but just as loud as ever. Owen urges Jekin to eat well before his sword fight, but Jekin hits the table so hard his steak flies off and lands on the floor. The impact sends Raina's steak flying off her plate, instantly making her furious with a death stare that freezes Jekin in his tracks. For students share one thing. They all absolutely loathe Zeke. But even though they all hate him, it's clear they don't really like each other, and this poisonous friendship only survives because they're all angry at him too. Owen admits Zeke was impressive in Pancration, but he's convinced Zeke will be terrible with a sword since he can't even hold one properly, and the others laugh at how pathetic he looks, noting that even a custom-made blade was needed because the standard ones were too heavy for his weak arms. Jekin still can't believe his inferior trash lost to Zeke, thinking it was just dumb luck since he won't admit Zeke was actually good, but Reina isn't buying into their foolish excuses. She stares at them with icy eyes and declares, "If you fools really think that nonsense is true, then none of you deserve to call yourselves knights of the Draker household," before explaining why these clowns were so sure Zeke would lose the sword fight. While pancration fights are somewhat controlled, sword duels use real weapons and are the biggest source of injuries here because the skill gap is so sharp that weak fighters get exposed fast until the blessing ritual a month later awakens everyone's aura. Finally, the day comes and the instructor steps up and calls Zeke forward. Our boy walks into the arena without a second thought, casually slinging a comically huge sword over his shoulder, which instantly makes the crowd laugh because they think it's all a joke and that Zeke is just another fool who believes size means power. From the other side, Reina steps forward with full energy and throws down a challenge to Zeke, who accepts it instantly, though she can't shake the feeling that the man she once knew is gone, replaced by someone who lifts a giant sword with ease and makes her feel a flash of fear she's too angry to admit. At the same time, Zeke is feeling the weight of it too, because his usual tricks just won't work here. This isn't just any fight. It's a battle against the terrifying future Lightning Knight, Reina Turan, who was once an unstoppable legend and the strongest warrior of her time. Unlike anyone else, she learned to control her power years before the official ceremony, setting her apart from everyone else. Yet she spent her time in the safe zone, practicing basic skills like a Real fighter instead of showing off her strength, proving that she is still a deadly threat even without her powers. With one mighty blow, she knocks Zeke sliding backward. That single conversation tells him everything he needs to know. She's even better than he could have imagined. Without wasting a second, Reina lunges again, her blade slicing through the air so fast it crackles like lightning, while her impatient allies shout for her to finish quickly, only for one sharp-minded guy to shut them down by telling them to open their eyes. From Reina's point of view, she can see exactly where Zeke's defenses are weak, but every time she tries to hit those spots, he blocks her, and what makes her most furious is that he's not even treating this like a real fight. It's just a regular training session. Every time she lands a hit, he opens up another gap, daring her to push harder and break through his guard. After a long, exhausting fight, she takes a breathless step back, but Zeke isn't tired at all. He just looks bored. She's throwing everything she has at him, holding back her special power to fight with just her skills, which is exactly what he knew an expert would do. But now he decides it's time to help her leave her comfort zone, so Zeke dramatically drops his guard to look like he's about to rush her, while Reina, sure she's faster, just ignores the trick. She knows keeping her distance gives her enough time to jump into action if he tries anything. But in the blink of an eye, Zeke closes the distance and is suddenly right up in her face. Before she can even understand what just happened, he slashes his huge sword so hard it cracks the ground and sends shaking waves through the whole arena, but Reina keeps her plan going as long as she has room to dodge his blows. Zeke slashes the empty air in a total miss, but the force of his swing blasts debris straight into her face, smashing her nose until it bleeds. The moment she flinches from the blow, Zeke lunges with his sword pointed right at her throat and halts mere centimeters away, making her sure in that split second that she is lost. Then something shocking happens. Zeke's sword flies from his grip and lands far away, and the crowd goes wild, crowning him the loser and cheering for Reina's win even though she didn't have to use her aura. One person wasn't fooled. The instructor spotted her faint aura usage while the clueless crowd missed it completely. Zeke's blade came dangerously close, so Reina instinctively released a tiny burst of aura, breaking her solemn promise never to use it until she joined the academy, leaving her frozen for a moment with regret written all over her face. Suddenly, Zeke lunges at her before she can even process what's going on and punches her right in the throat. She begins to choke right away, falling down on her knees as blood trickles from her mouth. The crowd went wild, screaming curses at each other, but my boy just stood calm and shook his head, saying, "Yo, this was a sword duel. That's a cheap shot, and this guy has no shame," while everyone else instantly turned on Zeke, pointing fingers and talking nonsense. He doesn't care about the hate at all and just calmly looks down at Reina, asking, "So, are you trying to keep going or what?" Reina is still having trouble standing properly, but she's so stubborn that she refuses to admit defeat, claiming she only got hit because she wasn't paying attention. But then reality hits her hard, and she realizes that if Zeke had held a knife instead of just punching her, she'd already be dead, which finally make her admit defeat with a newfound respect, while the same crowd that was just mocking him as trash now stands frozen in shock with their mouths wide open. Zeke Draker, the person everyone called trash and a family disgrace, just want to fight so clean it felt like magic, and he didn't just beat some nobody either, he absolutely crushed Reina, the future Lightning Knight, who was one of the most talented fighters in their entire generation. So the scene shifts to Abel's castle, which is a complete disaster. The town is burning down with blood everywhere, yet this crazed man sips his tea calmly while Abel completely ignores the disaster. He's so caught up reading about Zeke Draker dominating Reina that he sets his cup down to ask when the blessing ceremony is happening. It turns out the full moon is still a few weeks away, so Abel decides, you know what? The perfect time to crash the Draker family party arrives as William asks if Abel is going alone, but the Swordmaster is too excited to see the youngest Draker awaken a care, while everyone else is going wild over Zeke's win, and he's already back to training, ignoring the celebration so he can keep grinding until a month later when the blessing ceremony finally comes. Leaving Zeke confused about how he became a Red Knight with his trash body just as his mastery skill hits expert level. Every time his skill levels up, it resets, letting him sharpen it again and again. Even his swift step skill, the very move that knocked Rhino out, got stronger. He spots his butler, Decker, watching him with the sharp, unblinking focus of a hawk. Decker steps in to remind Zeke that the blessing ceremony starts in 2 hours, marking the first time in ages he's visited the Grand Draco estate in the Duchy of Troy. The family's main crib sits at the center of the continent, but the blessing ceremony happens at the legendary Dragon Slayer battleground, so when he steps out of the carriage into the dragon's nest, he instantly realizes this isn't a casual family gathering, because the room is packed with serious heavy hitters. Some of those watching him are definitely spies sent just to learn his secrets, but our brave boy already knows exactly how the whole story will end. But then his confidence vanishes the moment his eyes meet a certain man, someone who makes him seethe just by breathing, as that man shakes hand with a bored guest who is named Abel. Abel ignores the big ceremony except for one thing, his little brother, who everyone calls the Lion Blade, but Zeke knows as the Butchering Knight. And now that they are staring each other down, Zeke forces himself to stay calm, because there is nothing he can do but wait. Here's the thing, though. In his past life, Abel never made it to Zeke's awakening ceremony. This shift in his Pancratian actions altered the timeline, turning his frustration into realization that this moment could be a chance. So when the ceremony began, and Aaron stepped forward without a second thought to dip his arm into the mystical pool, the story moved forward. Suddenly, a rush of blue energy surges through his body. An elder begins to explain that every Draco descendant has their aura sealed until they leave the cradle at 12, which sets them apart from ordinary knights who don't awaken until their 20s. The Draco family taps into this power much sooner than anyone else. Even among the Draco elite, only a handful awaken the Dragon Slayer's rare gift of mana inhibition, causing the pool's lamps to flicker wildly and send red sparks flying. That sign means Aaron has finally woken up his pure blood powers. Knights with mana inhibition can fight evenly against both red and black knights, but there is a catch. Their bodies turn so hard against magic that just living through the day feels like a terrible nightmare. They need special gloves from the Draco family just to move normally. Take Regal, for example. After her awakening, she now wears gloves around the clock, and once anyone proves their pure blood status, they officially join the Draco family to gain endless resources, supreme authority, and elite training. The crowd buzzes with excitement as it's finally time for Zeke Draco's awakening, with whispers flying everywhere because everyone truly believes he'll be even more powerful than Rhaenys. As Zeke takes a step forward, he suddenly feels like he's seen this exact moment before. He stood in the same spot he had occupied in his past life, a day that had brought only shame and humiliation until the blessing ceremony saved him. Yet the experience had left him broken. Now, however, everything has changed because he is no longer weak, for he has learned to heal, master the ether, and fight back. He forged his own path with a heart full of strength. So now, standing before the bronze statue, he waits with bated breath for this statue to finally give him something incredible. Zeke plunges his arm into the pool, causing the bronze statue to shudder violently before freezing mid-twitch, leaving the room in a stunned silence that marks the first time this strange thing has ever happened during the blessing ceremony. Even Abel stands frozen for a heartbeat, while Zeke snatches his arm back, knowing exactly what just happened. Nothing changed. Despite all his hard work and growth, the result was the same because he let Abel break his focus and trick him into thinking this time would be different, even though he knew the truth all along. The crowd cheers instantly turned into mocking whispers as the most expected candidate failed to wake up, leading some to suspect he cheated to beat Reyna. But Zeke didn't care at all and just focused on finding a new way to get stronger. Suddenly, the system glitches and interrupts Zeke's thoughts with a shocking announcement that his rare healing class has unlocked, triggering a massive red light explosion that reveals a pure blood awakening. causing everyone in the room to panic as they realize he skipped straight to the most powerful status possible. It turns out the ancient dragon's blessing was hiding in there all along, while Abel watches it all happen with a completely blank face. But hold on, because the system wasn't done playing tricks yet, Zeke's special skills suddenly merged into something brand new. His screen flashed with a title that left him dizzy, and while he tried to figure out what the immortal class meant, everyone in the room lost their minds. Everyone is having a mental breakdown because they can't believe that Zeke, who should be terrible, is actually doing okay. Desperate fools are claiming the statue is broken and trying to explain away the wild mana lamps. But they know they are lying, which is exactly when Abel steps up to show them the truth. He begins a slow, mocking clap that cuts through the chaos with a tone so condescending, he even asks why no one is congratulating our newly awakened pureblood, knowing they are trapped, so the whispers fade into one by one, replaced by awkward, forced applause. Abel orders someone to grab gloves for his little brother, so Zeke takes them while inwardly rolling his eyes, knowing perfectly well he doesn't need them. He didn't say a word, just turned around and walked away. Abel looks smug and satisfied, but Zeke is so angry he can't stand the fact that the only person willing to help is that awful bastard, especially since the ceremony has turned into a party that Zeke refuses to join. Right when he was about to jump in, someone yelled his name and froze him where he stood. Abel casually asks where Zeke is going and offers a handshake, but Zeke barely has time to force a fake smile before a sudden flash of blood from his past life makes him violently pull his hand back. A slow, creepy smirk spreads across Abel's face, and suddenly everything feels really awkward. My little brother just made a fool of me in front of everyone, and now Zeke is so angry he won't even shake hands with this monster. Not after everything that happened, but Abel barely cares and just gives a small wave before walking away with no worries. I'm sure we'll see each other very soon. Zeke agrees with that. One day he'll face Abel, but on his own terms, not like this. At the party, all the nobles and warriors are buzzing like crazy over 2 pure blood awakenings in one ceremony. That's never happened before, but Zeke's awakening has everyone lost because nobody has ever seen a golden light appear. But even though Zeke is supposed to be the star of the night, he's vanished because he told our boy to screw this and left to escape the awkward chatter of these clowns, enjoying a rare, quiet moment in a calm room where he can finally breathe. Yet something feels wrong because he isn't feeling the mana rejection that pure bloods like him are supposed to experience completely. That's the entire issue. Every pure blood awakener must wear those special gloves because their bodies can no longer touch mana-based tools. But here stands Zeke, totally okay, taking off his gloves and wiggling his fingers with no problem at all. With no resistance at all, his status window flashes open and he instantly sees how things are different. His trait isn't about holding back mana, it's about bouncing it back, and when he taps it, a system window pops up with details. Zeke finally connects the dots. His golden light and impossible immortal class aren't just rare gifts, but proof that he warps the very magic around him, making the system's old records and everyone else's dull blue auras look like nothing compared to his strange, glowing reality. What if the bronze statue was the terminal classifying people, causing it to glow red and go wild the moment missing data was added, revealing that it had been judging their class all along instead of just checking if they woke up? The red glow shows a rare item. The gold one means it's unique, but this ancient statue predates Terran, the family's founder, and since nobody checks item types these days, we made a huge mistake. Everyone thought the red light meant a pure blood was waking up, but it actually signaled a rare class, a secret even the clan head doesn't know. Zeke spots something new and realizes he just earned 100 karma points during the ceremony. He doesn't waste a second and buys the draconian skill. Knowledge rushes into his mind, granting him dragon eyes, dragon strength, and the strange ability to devour, which seems useless since it only helps with digestion. The dragon's power is too dangerous to use right now, so he tests his new dragon eyes first, only to discover that while they make him see better, the real magic is being able to read everything he looks at in detail. Suddenly, a flood of thoughts fills his mind, revealing every secret detail of the statue. But the flood of facts burns out his mind, leaving him exhausted. If every use brings its own trouble, he's going to have to watch his step. Thankfully, his body starts healing on its own without him even trying. And when he checks his system, he discovers that all his skills have turned into automatic powers that leveled themselves up while his healing ability has grown stronger too. Now his body fixes itself all by itself, needing no help from him at all. It looks like a cheat code, but he knows it has limits since he already died in his past life. So to prove it works, he slashes his arm with a blade and watches the wound vanish in an instant. Then a smile crept onto his face because he knows just how broken his power is, making him think he can graduate in 2 years from the Draugr Academy. A place so prestigious, it's basically the Harvard of night schools, even though it usually takes 5. Everyone and their mom wants in, so every semester Troy City is flooded with fresh meat, hoping to make it big. Our boy Zeke strolls through campus, sizing everyone up, but while the older students strut around like they own the place, they're just trust fund babies playing dress up with swords compared to the real monsters from the cradle. Zeke stared at the scene, thinking, wow, my family is really on top, and then he quickly explained how the power worked. 3 powerful families stand behind the Draugr line, with the Terran clan leading the charge as Reyna's own team of pure strength. Then there's the Zyman's family, the super smart thinkers who win with clever plans and deep knowledge. And finally, we meet the Vardek, the fantasy world's Lannisters, where all their heirs study at the academy. Yet Zeke couldn't care less about any of them as the scene shifts to their fancy Platinum Mansion dorm. We boast top-tier training halls and libraries, but those fancy places are just for the peasants. Pure-blood awakeners like Zeke get the VIP title of Floor Master, meaning they run the whole Platinum floor. So when Zeke arrives, a maid greets him and leads him to his area where a crowd is already waiting. Man is already worn out just from staring at them. Even though he's a top-tier pure-blood awakener, he's immediately told by his butler, Decker, to go to another room, and he wonders what this guy wants now before seeing the very first gloves Decker shows him, which he's not impressed with since he already has a new pair, but what he really wants is a sword. And Decker is totally down for it, because Troy is standing right next to mountain ranges full of high-quality iron and legendary craftsmen who are the backbone of the Academy's night program. Decker offers to find a skilled craftsman, but Zeke says no and insists on handling it himself, asking only that an appointment be made. When Zeke drops the name Galleon Halbert, Decker is left wondering who that mysterious craftsman is, though Zeke is determined to meet him anyway, even though no one has ever heard of him. Before Zeke leaves, Decker reminds him to read the Academy documents tomorrow, and later that night, while studying, Zeke realizes he has the entire Platinum floor to himself, giving him the perfect quiet space to practice his draconian skills. Just then, a maid rushed in to tell him that Reyna was waiting for him at dinner. Zeke was caught off guard, but he thought, why not try it? He gets free food and all, but when he reaches her floor, he stumbles into a scene that looks like it's straight out of The Godfather. Reyna stands there with a smug grin, apologizing for the big scene, while Zeke just goes with the flow, and they decide to grab a bite to eat before diving into business. While they eat, Zeke isn't just eating. He's watching her pour her energy into her belly, realizing she's aiming for the Purple Knight title and that her amazing sword skills make perfect sense given that power. By the time they were done, Zeke was both impressed and a bit scared by how much more Reyna had eaten than him. But as the food makes her sleepy, she finally admits why she invited him and offers him the whole Tehran family support. Zeke's like, hold up, we're both pure blood awakeners though. But she